Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 4 vs 4 on Colleville, and in this one I'm going to be playing with the 3rd Fallschirmjager. So this was a replay that was taken from my stream. If you guys missed the stream, I do stream every Thursday at 10 PM GMT, and you can join me then in order to get in on the games, and patrons get priority invites. So if you'd like to be a patron, then make sure you check the links in the description below. But yeah, in this one, using the 3rd Fallschirmjager to take the town here, the right town, from the Axis perspective. Playing with Salt, Bubblebox and Schmitty on my team, with the 17th SS, 12th SS and 16th Luftwaffe. And then the opposing side we have Tankol, Tiny Rick, Zimbaslayer and Gonzo, who are using the 15th Infantry, Scots, 101st Airborne, 2nd Infantry and 2nd Armoured French. So we've got quite the formidable opponents, some very nice divisions there that could definitely catch me off guard. Now I'm basically playing the 3rd Fallschirmjager because it was requested on one of my non-streamed videos, and yeah, decided to give them a couple of goes. Now the first game before this I did actually lose that, and this game was also very hard. So we'll have to see how it goes as we continue. But either way, let's have a look at the specific units that are going down on the field. So we have two of the Fallschirmjagers here. We have the MG34. We have a command infantry. I've also got command infantry on the right and on the left. Then I've got an AT gun on the right. I've also got the Panzer Abwehr with the Panzerschreck, the 4-man recon squad, and I've got another one of those on the left side as well to accompany that command. And then I've got 2 Panzerschrecks to join me in the town as well. Now the reason I have this command with a recon squad on this left side is to hold forwards the front line. If I didn't have the command squad here, they're like a huge salient would form, especially if my teammate on my left, Salt, didn't actually bring anything to the center. So just making sure that that doesn't happen, and the Fallschirmjager, for I think they're like 20 points, maybe less, basically are quite a cheap way of holding that front line forwards whilst I mainly focus on this town, which is most likely where my opponent is going to attack into. On my right side I have Bubblebox holding that flank, and then Schmitty on my far left. I was a bit concerned about how the 16th Luftwaffe would shape up against the opposing divisions, especially like 25 pounders, M1 howitzers and so on, because the 16th Luftwaffe, a lot of people called them OP when they came out, but people know how to counter it now. You just use a lot of RT from very early on in the game, and quite simply there is nothing that the 16th Luftwaffe can do moving into the late game, because they rely on the same units pretty much throughout the entire game. And then if you start to build up like your own AA wall, they can't hit you with their airstrikes, and yeah, it's just not a good time for the 16th Luftwaffe. But either way, as you will see, I'm going to have to focus more on my own play than other people's play in this one, as I do come under a lot of pressure as the game goes on. But I'm just going to speed it up and get the game underway, so we can see exactly what happens. So off we go. I've brought in a mortar there. That's going to provide us with HE artillery. I was tempted to smoke this off, but I didn't think my Fallschirmjagers would work well with smoke, so I wanted to maintain the maximum engagement range for them. So this mortar's mainly there to just stun enemy infantry more than anything else. You can see I am just going to start firing it towards this area where their reinforcements will come in. So MG getting into a decent position there. Fallschirmjager sort of ahead of the MG, but the reason the MG is here is because they get nice line of sight down the road if they move over to the left side and they give them the attack order to do so. So the Fallschirmjagers move up, the Fallschirmjagers on the right side as well, and I can see their artillery, so maybe try and counter battery that if I can, the 81mm mortar moving forwards in order to do so. So from this I know that I'm playing against the 2nd Infantry, and if he can get close to me with his Ranger assaults then I might be in trouble, but his rifles and basically anything else might not be too much of an issue. There is an M4 here, and recently the M4s did get buffed, so they all have 11 AP now, and the 10 armor. Well, these ones have 10 armor. That used to have 11 AP, or 10 AP and 10 armor, but now it has 11 AP and 10 armor. So slightly stronger than it was before. But I'm not using any tanks at the start. Maybe if I'd brought in an L6, then it might have been in trouble. But at the moment, I haven't got one in. So got to rely on these Panzerschrecks hopefully to take out the M4. As long as like the Fallschirmjagers here can hold the line. So Ranger Marauders reveal themselves. Going to be engaging them with the Fallschirmjagers there. Ranger Support tries to move forwards. They're going to get absolutely hammered as well. So far so good. We got the Panzerabwehr engaging some airborne rifles at close range. Not the most ideal engagement. We do have Bubble Box here though with the 259, so he's going to roll that over to give us a hand. Managed to get that pin onto the support squad there, and the Ranger Marauders are hanging about in these buildings, so bringing down the mortar fire where I can. Going to try and dodge out from the enemy mortar fire there as well, because I don't want them to just be ran over by, you know, enemy infantry. Now that last mortar shot does actually end up pinning down my Fallschirmjagers. They're in a bit of a tricky spot there, but behind the building, so not in line of sight. Now Panzerabwehr managed to actually make the airborne rifles surrender. I don't think Bubble Box's 259 actually had anything to do with that in the end, but yeah, Panzerabwehr doing a good job, especially with the Fallschirmführer backing them up. So airborne rifles going to be surrendered. So far it's not looking too bad. I'm bringing up a second mortar, and hopefully can continue to like counter battery their mortars, although they're trying to do the same as well. So a bit of a mortar back and forth at the moment. I'm also bringing a Fallschirmjäger squad to the right side, since there was the airborne rifles attacking the Fallschirmpanzerabwehr. I thought I might need a full infantry squad to take advantage of that right side, but not the case. Just going to be able to move up forwards that Panzerabwehr anyway. Ranger support goes down to the Fallschirmjägers as they move up. I'm going to try and get them into this building. However, Ranger assaults have got close now, and Ranger assaults will burn out my Fallschirmjägers. So since this Fallschirmjäger's been further back, it's allowed the Ranger assaults to actually get pretty damn close, which is not very good at all. And currently, as you can see, we're just being burned out of every building there. M4s move over to the right side, got a nice line of sight onto those Fallschirmjägers. We're getting bombed by Tiny Rick as well, who is facing off against Bubble Box. Actually managed to bomb out my Pack 41 and the Fallschirmführer there, and a Pathfinder manages to find the Panzerabwehr, so that sucks as well. So Fallschirmjägers running away. We do actually manage to kill off the... Ranger assaults. But now we're dealing with multiple squads of rifles approaching our position, and we still have the M4 causing damage to these Fallschirmjägers. So in this situation, what might have been a good idea is maybe just like, yeah, smoke off the M4 to stop it from hitting the Fallschirmjägers. Then the Fallschirmjägers can continue to engage with the rifles, and it should be okay. But ideally I need more reinforcements of Fallschirmjägers coming up to this town to fend off these rifles, which have already pinned down the Fallschirmjägers. Because as long as the rifles continue to fire on the Fallschirmjägers, they're not going to become unstunned anytime soon. I move forward with the Fallschirm Panzerschreck here. That's basically there to try and move across at some point and maybe get a shot onto the M4, but as soon as I, you know, jump in front of these rifle squads, they're going to get mowed down and stuff, so I'm kind of struggling a bit there. I maybe could have smoked off the Panzerschreck and had it sort of sneak through and kill off the M4, but currently the M4 is doing a lot of damage and the Panzerschreck goes down anyway. So does my MG as the M4 gets that. Just about managed to make an airborne rifle squad surrender there with the Fallschirmjägers before the P-51 Mustang comes in. So that worked out quite nicely, and continuing with the smoke there as we want to cut off the line of sight for the M4. However, Fallschirmjäger still pinned down. My mortars are being counter-batteried. I was obviously trying to do the same, but you can see that I'm actually running pretty low on infantry, so I've got a couple more coming in. I've also got the 210mm off map as well on the way to try and sort of relieve some pressure here, because there is some more infantry coming in, and currently Zumbi's doing a right number on me in this town. Especially if I lose the Fallschirmführer here, we're going to be in a pretty sticky spot, but Ranger Marauders go down anyway, so that's okay. Rifles are pinned down on the left side. Rifles nearly pinned down on the right side. These Fallschirmjägers come back into the fray, but now some more Ranger assaults have arrived and actually make them surrender since the Fallschirmjäger has fallen back. and that's just not good. I can't really afford to let Fallschirmjagers surrender because they are so damn expensive. You always want Fallschirmjagers to fight to the death, and that will definitely help them be more cost efficient. But again, Ranger Assault is being pinned, but we've got another squad now coming up, this time Ranger Supports. So Fallschirm Panzerstreck going to go down there. I've got these Fallschirmjagers to move up, going to get bombed on the right side. Fallschirmjagers from Tiny Rick coming in there with the Mustang and bombing them out. It's not looking good. I'm kind of almost being double teamed a little bit, and I've just called in the off map from my Schwimmwagen, but the M4 manages to pick it off. Gets line of sight, boom, goodbye to my off map, and that's 210 points, I think, or maybe less, but still a lot of points down the drain, which I probably could have otherwise invested in infantry that would have held a lot better against Ranger Supports, rifles, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, in a bit of a pickle, especially after using or losing that off map. But the off map comes down. You can see it does do a nice amount of damage. It's going to be starting to pin a lot of this infantry. And honestly, if I had not lost it at this point, I could have just kept rolling forwards, taken loads of this infantry out, reinforced my position, and I would have been in a really good spot. Like, because this Ranger Support on the right side, for example, I could have just put another off map on this side of the town, and that would have helped me break through there. Because what I'm trying to do at the moment is make this Ranger leaders surrender. We also managed to rocket the M4, and we have like a really nice sort of play going on there thanks to the off map artillery. But there's still a little bit of a push going on in our front line. And over on this left side, unfortunately, Gonzo has completely wrecked Schmitty, who is now deciding to bring in the train of the Panzer 730Cs. I would never recommend to do this. It is an absolute waste of points. But either way, back to where we are, and the Ranger Supports blow up the Kubel that was resupplying my 81mm mortar. One of my 81mm mortars dies to that squad as well, I believe. And my Fallschirmjagers further up got surrendered. So yeah, without that off map firing another couple strikes, it's really hard for me to capitalize on that really good play. So I'm actually bringing up some MGs now, since they're pretty much all the infantry I have left for Phase A. And we are moving into Phase B in like 1 minute, so got a little bit of a wait, but in the meantime going to be bringing up the MG34s to reinforce. But currently things aren't looking good. Both Fallschirmjagers pinned down. Fallschirmführers are just in range to stop these Fallschirmjagers surrendering, or the ones with 3-star, but these ones maybe not. Probably didn't notice this while I was playing, so if any infantry comes into range of them, they're going to end up falling back. Now I do have line of sight onto their mortar here, which is good, which allows me to get some more corrected shots with the 81mm mortar, but as you can see, I'm getting some pretty close shots, but we're not doing any damage, which was probably the biggest problem with what was going on between our mortar engagements here, because you can see they're slowly whittling mine down, whereas I've only just done 1 damage to that mortar, and all of his other mortars are pretty much okay. Some more reinforcements have now arrived for Zumba's lair. My Fallschirmführer taking some damage from the T-30, and so is the MG-34s now. They have the fire position in the right spots, and it's not looking good. I'm going to have to fall back these Fallschirmjagers, as I do not want this Fallschirmführer to like die and then lose both those Fallschirmjäger squads. As I was saying before, you need to get value for money. So bringing up the Scharfschütze here. Now these are 2 Ranger support squads, so as you can see they do a lot of damage very quickly to the Scharfschützes at that range. I've also brought up the Panzer L6 to help out, and I probably could have done with bringing up a couple more of them, honestly. But at the moment, just using 1 there to take on the rifles on the right side. 259 goes down to the T30, or maybe even the M22 there. I do have a Fallschirmführer sort of holding the front line there, but I mean, I don't have anything on my right flank anymore. I just take out an infantry squad quick with the L6, which is good. And I've now got some Flammenwerfers coming up with the, just the flamethrowers to kill off some of this infantry should it push forwards. I'm also trying to go for the engagement between the L6 and the T30, but even though that is well within range, like 400 meter range, 5 AP, it's probably about 9 AP, it just doesn't want to penetrate. And it was really, really frustrating at this point. Some more infantry coming in, 2 more Fallschirmjägers, new command infantry, since I need to replace this one that's on 1 health. And hopefully we can get somewhere. Pack 41 Gerlich has been moved up. I'm going to try and use that to take out some reinforcements. Gets a shot towards the Ranger Marauders there, but they're going to be dropped out in time. Do manage to take out one of the reinforcing squads of rifles though, which is good. But the 30 cal machine gun is now on target, and that is going to do a lot of damage to my Pack 41. We've also got the mortar coming in, 107mm mortar, both of those from Zombies, as well as both of his 60mm mortars, and he's not really letting up. Now my Flammenwerfers are in a pretty decent spot to, you know, kill off the Ranger supports, but with, you know, flamethrowers not being as potent as they once were, it's actually very hard for me to kill off the squad in its entirety, so I'm just going to end up using the smoke from the Flammenwerfers to, you know, cover up and stop them hitting me with all of this fire support. Managed to take out another machine gun there thanks to the L6, and that L6 is now engaging the T30 once again. So here comes my infantry. Fallschirmjägers ending up unloaded due to being fired upon whilst moving past this engagement. Unfortunate, because I'm getting to the point where I don't have like any buildings to actually put these Fallschirmjägers into anymore, especially with him controlling pretty much half the town. And Ranger Marauders come up there and take out the Flammenwerfer. I've got another L6 on the way, hoping that can do the job instead. I've got 2 Fallschirmjägers pushing towards this sort of forest area, but Tiny Rick's here with a couple of airborne engineers, and I'm really kind of getting screwed by the fact that half of Tiny Rick's forces are attacking me, whilst I'm also trying to deal with Zombies as well. Bubblebox just couldn't really make the ground on the right side with his start. With the 12th SS Panzer, just didn't have the capacity to push through apparently. But either way, my L6 trades with the T30. M22 comes in, picks up that kill. Let me see the DB7B come in with the smoke bomb, and I don't know how useful that really is for Zombies, but I'm just getting to the point where my Flammenwerfers are dying, Fallschirmjägers are pinned down, my Luftwaffe Führer is almost pinned down, and as soon as he does get pinned down, that's, you know, surrender. Fallschirmjägers need to just run a mile, and I'm just losing more and more ground as we speak. Also P38 Lightning from Gonzo coming in to give me a headache as well. And it's just not looking good. A lot of my Fallschirmjägers already been taken out. Zumbi's using his infantry very cost effectively in order to continue pushing, and his mortars have just been way more effective as well. Mine just weren't hitting the mark. You can see both of these mortars, that one's on 3 health, that one's on 4 health, and I was pretty much counter battering him the whole time. And I don't know if he was just dodging very well or what, but I just couldn't get the damage off where I needed to. So you can see the front line's just in shambles at the moment. I'm bringing up a 318mm off map to maybe help us out a bit, and you can see that going down. Unfortunately, the circle isn't coming up because I'm actually watching this in the special viewer. But we can see the off-map artillery is going to kill off a few of those infantry squads for me, relieve a little bit of pressure. Going to bring in some Fallschirm Pioneers to engage the airborne engineers, because airborne engineers versus Fallschirm Pioneers win every time, as you can see in that case there. Just got to engage them, throw the grenade, run away, wait till they're stunned, and then kill them off. And that's what I'm looking to do. Luftwaffe Führer coming up and providing the extra command stars. Mustang going to be bombing out my Fallschirm Pioneer there. Unfortunately, Bubble Box's Verbal Vins are not quite stopping the strike from coming in. So going to be dropping off another unit here. Well, that's actually Bubble Box bringing in some infantry. Going to end up making those airborne rifles surrender actually due to that Mustang bombing strike. So yeah, just some Panzergrens to hold the line, and then the Fallschirm Pioneers can move in with the Luftwaffe Führer to take out the last of the airborne rifles. But these rifles holding strong for Zombies. My sharpshoots, I guess I could have maybe put them into the church tower at this point, just to give myself a little bit extra recon. But mortar fire is just horrific at this point. there is nothing I can do about that. I need to get like the cue ball to drop a strike on top of them. So I ended up going for a strike that sort of encompassed this area with the like mortars at the top, and I was hoping that I'd be able to kill off a couple of them. So you'll see that come in shortly, although the marker isn't actually appearing, but there it is. So another couple of infantry squads going down there, managed to take out both of the 60mm mortars. However, the 107mm mortar remains alive, and this 380mm off map actually did quite a lot of damage, as you can see, but we've still got a breakthrough. 2 squads of rifles there with the ranger leader. There's ranger support. They've got a 30 cal and a ranger marauders unit, and I'm pretty much relying on the last of my infantry already. I've got more Fallschirm Pioneers that can come in. I've got a few more Fallschirmjagers, I believe. But with the M4 sitting here just pinning down my infantry, there is literally nothing I can do. It's such a shame. Like, I need like an AT gun or something to take out this M4, and then I'd be able to, you know, successfully assault them with the Fallschirm Pioneers. The other thing that I need is also just like a mortar to provide smoke, so the M4 isn't able to fire like I was doing at the start. And then my Fallschirm Pioneers could easily just get into range of the rifles, the range marauders and so on, and do what they need to do with their grenades. But in this case, just wasn't happening. I didn't have, I think, any more mortars or like artillery like that I could really use properly. So one thing that somebody said in the stream was, at this point I should probably be focusing on sort of going around the town rather than trying to push through it, because it's very hard for me to like regain ground. So you'll see me like eventually bring in some Stugs to try and push across the open here, which is very lightly defended. And I can, well, not quite see it, but you know, there's a recon squad here and I can't see any AT. Generally, like a Fallschirm Panzer Abwehr would be able to see it. But yeah, any infantry engagement that occurs either gets mortared, gets supported by the M4, and I'm just like across the board it's just not working out very well. Fallschirm Pioneers here, for example, you know, getting pinned down by the M1 howitzer, and then the M1 gun takes out the Boyd Cromwell, which was probably the only thing that could have helped me out in this scenario. I was getting very close to like the M1 howitzer here, but it just shows like if we'd brought up some units up this road and we bumped into these M1s, you know, you could easily take them out. Like the Verbelwind there is actually pinning down the M1 gun. So if that M1 gun's gone, you just break through on that right side completely. But unfortunately, still focusing down here for now. Rifles and a recon squad coming across the field in the center. Looks like Zumbi's trying to make some ground there. Do finally get the Fallschirm Pioneers into a position where they might be able to do something, due to my Pak 38, I think, took out the M4 somewhere. So relieved that fire support, but the mortars still a big issue, especially 107mm mortars with the 16 HE power. I'm also well aware of these marauders on the left side. Probably should have had the Fallschirm Pioneer move over and take those out. We can see the IG-18 from Salt smashing those rifles to pieces, which is good. Yeah, those Fallschirm Pioneer, I should have just had them fall back much sooner. Like as soon as they got pinned down, pretty much. And those sharpshoots are one shot, one kill from the mortar. Ranger Marauders do end up going down, and I'm holding on. But yeah, at this point there was just not much else for me to do. I have like all this infantry coming in, as you can see, against like this many mortars. This was probably a really bad idea. I should have been buying in tanks like at this point rather than investing in more infantry. Now all of Schmitty's tanks on the left side pretty much got killed off now. The Panzer 730 is all pretty much gone. He is almost gaining some ground back, but it's still way less than 50-50 on that left side. I'm just a bit less than 50-50. The initial 50-50 starts around, I think it's about here. So we've been pushed in a little bit by the town, but we're starting to make a little bit of ground on the left side. And currently the Jeep 30 cal is moving forwards. If he gets into range of my Panzer Abwehr, then we'll take that out. Right, so here comes some Fallschirm Pioneers. I was hoping that these would be easy enough to use to get infantry out of the way. after like all of the off-map strikes that I did and so on, I was really hoping to like make some ground with like a concerted infantry push, but just so many artillery pieces. 2 M2A1 howitzers, we've got the 107mm mortars. They still have the 30 cal here, and this is quite a big problem because I don't have the Fallschirm Pioneers in range to throw their grenades, and they all get pinned down, like especially with the artillery coming in. Like, this is just a really bad mistake from me. No way should you ever do this. Like having the infantry that bunched up, like the Mustang coming in there, like 2 Mustangs just bombing it. All these Fallschirm Pioneers that were like 12 HP, just dead. Like I should have just unloaded them early and made like a sweeping push, rather than, you know, just like funneling it down towards the artillery or whatever. So I lose 2 units of Fallschirm Pioneers there to an M4DD. If that was a Fallschirmjäger, he wouldn't have been able to charge me, but they're not because they don't have Panzerfaust, so that's absolutely fine. Zumbi's taking full advantage of my big old mistake here, and things aren't going well. But either way, bringing up some counter-battery artillery now, hopefully trying to deal with the M2A1 howitzers and the 107mm mortars, and yeah, hopefully it will go well. We've also got the Pak 40 coming down now, and that's to take care of the newly found M4s. However, with the Jeep 30 cal dying on the left side, you can see that the map does open up here quite significantly. So I'm going to be bringing in a couple of infantry squads that can hopefully take advantage of that and maybe make us back some ground, because we're sitting at the +1, and it's not the end of the world that I've lost this town at this point, because you can see that that's pretty much all of Zumbiz's units in there. But on this right side, like Tiny Rick sort of poking in and causing a bit of damage has definitely, you know, helped out Zumbiz in pushing through. Now on this far left side, Schmitty still trying to deal with Gonzo. If he could take out the M10 and the reinforcements here, especially this M7 actually, then he would be in a pretty good position to start pushing back with some infantry, like just get the Fusiliers to push forwards, find the Sappers and the Nueve, and that would do the job. But either way, he can't see that obviously, so you can't really assume. And now we have a xylophone in just to add insult to injury. But my Gebs are firing away, trying to get the counter battery down onto the enemy artillery. And I've just gone into like full defensive mode around this area because I'm running out of infantry. As you can see, I'm using Sturm Pioneers to like push on the left side, so that's probably the best I can do at this point. So there we go, 107mm mortar down. Managed to take out at least one of them. That was the one with 1 health. Hit it with the Geb. Now they're firing back with their own M2A1 howitzers. So Pak 40 has been brought up on this left side, and that is actually pinning down this rifle squad at the moment. Now what this is going to allow me to do is, as my Sturm Pioneers move up the middle of the map here, I'm going to be able to like just drive past them and force them to surrender before they even fire at me, and that should do the job. And Pak 40 going to be pinning down some rifles as well. Just like on this left side, Pak 40s can be pretty good at pinning down enemy infantry. So that's why I've brought it up. And that allows my Fallschirm Pioneers to continue pushing, even if it is towards airborne engineers. And over on that left side you see what happened there, the rifle squad surrendering. As my Sturm Pioneers coming up, and I'm breaking back a bit of a salient. That's nice, however. Off-map coming in, 203mm off-map from Zumbiz. Going full artillery doctrine. He's got the xylophone, he's got the 2 M2A1 howitzers, he had 2 M1 or 107mm mortars, he had the 2 60mm mortars at the start of the game, and you can see why I was starting to struggle now. Definitely had the artillery he needed in order to pin down and force surrender the majority of my infantry. And if you can do that with a division that where the infantry costs so much, you're going to win every time, and that's exactly what's happening here. Zumbiz is wrecking in the town. Pack 38 doesn't even get a shot off onto the M4 before it dies. And they cut off the salient with the Rhino here, and the Sturm Pioneers aren't long for this world with 2 M20s coming down the road. We also see a bunch of reinforcements coming in now. The 2 Rhinos here, the Sherman 2 from Tankol. We've also got a rifle squad from Tankol there as well. And yeah, third player comes into the mix. I'm actually moving over my Stug though to sort of push that mid and counter those Rhinos. So this is where the tanks finally start to come in. However, I should have done this like way sooner. I should have had the Stug in here like so much sooner. And that would have allowed me to like solidify this mid position, but also just flank the town entirely, because Zumbiz, as you can see, did invest literally all of his points into just this town. And here comes more off map, slamming my Sturm Pioneers. Really not doing very well. Now these Sturm Pioneers, what I eventually do is turn off their G43s so they don't fire at range, because currently what's happening at the moment here, as you can see, the Sturm Pioneers are firing at these rifles. All that's doing is revealing their position. They're never going to kill the rifles or do any damage to them because they only have 2 HE. So what I need to do is turn off the G43s, allow them to get close, then I can hit them with the 6 HE of the MP40, the 12 HE of the flamethrower, and that will do more damage that way. And also it means that if they think there's not an infantry presence here anymore, they won't attack it. Now my Stug 3 hung about in the same area for a little while. P47 Thunderbolt comes in to try and take it out, but misses fortunately. LG40 is now going to try and deal with those rifles, but yeah, Stug 3 is moving over here. And I'm looking to get into a position where I can take on these Rhinos. However, Rhino on the right side, going to be catching me out, has the better aim time, takes his shot, Stug goes down. And yeah, it's not looking good. At longer range, that Rhino would have had a really hard time actually penetrating the Stug, but I just completely mismicroed that. I shouldn't have let it like get past the tree line, or as soon as it did, not let it turn, just reverse back. But I wasn't so smart, and the Fallschirmjager there do get revealed and taken out. Also my LG goes down to artillery, as it was firing at the rifles there. More off map coming in as well. Anything I do at this point is currently being countered quite damn hard, and we're sitting on 57% territory lead for the opponents, with 10 minutes left until victory. However, if they get the +2, it will most certainly be quicker than that. So most of the sort of mistakes, I guess, in this game come from the beginning. I did have the right idea in trying to counter battery his artillery, but I kind of feel like the Geb 40s should have been brought in sooner maybe, in order to counter the purchase of the M2A1 howitzers or the 107mm mortars. Stugs take out the Rhino, and there's another one coming over. This is a 2-star Befehl Stug. Going to be getting the shot off there. Second shot, second kill. Really, really nice job. However, Zumbiz pretty much just spending his extra points, his spare points on this push. He's already made all the ground he needs to on this right side. But here, deactivated G43 allows the rifles to get closer. Flamethrower is able to be used. At this point, you should probably turn on the G43s back on so all of your men have weapons to use. But either way, still doing plenty of damage. And I should have also been moving over these Sturm Pioneers as well. So now I'm relying on recon. As you can see, this is, I think, a few squads of Fallschirmjager, but the first shot from an off-map strike takes out one of the squads. A couple more strikes take out or hit my artillery, which takes them down to 3 health. Got a little bit of a crossfire here from the Stug 3, almost takes out the M3 OP, but Zumbiz not going to make the same mistake twice and gets that out of line of sight. So, yeah. Would have been nice if that Stug 3 did manage to get that kill, just like his M4 managed to get the kill onto my off-map, but not going to be the case. P47 comes in, rockets my Stug 3, leaves it in line of sight of the M4 falling back. Now, fortunately, the Stug 3 kind of angled itself nicely there in order not to be killed off by the M4 even if it got hit, because it sort of showed its front armor briefly, but still, yeah, not looking good. We have the L6s rolling in now. At close range, these can absolutely demolish rifles, especially if they don't have like any AT with them. Like once all the Ranger Marauders are dead, rifles and the second infantry in general, especially if they're relying on like flamethrower squads, are really weak against L6s. However, there is still the M4, which I've got to be worried about. If that goes down, though, I can definitely take advantage. So that's what I'm going to be looking to do moving on. Now my Stug 3 on the left did die. This befell Stug is trying to move forwards into a position to get onto these reinforcements, but you can see he's sort of driven all the way past now. Sturm Pioneers still trying to do their job here. Maybe should have moved to the left side, made that rifle surrender, but they're actually in range of this Ranger leader anyway, so that doesn't matter. Gebs are firing away onto the enemy infantry. Fallschirm Pioneers there, they do manage to take out a Jeep, but being pinned down by the M20 command. We see Schmitty bringing over some units in between myself and Salt, however, probably could have used them better on his side where he's being completely pushed in over there. My L6s are now arriving. I've also decided to bring in the flat guns as well, just to hold back infantry where I can. One of the Gebs going down now to the M4. So, got to get this Pack 40 into a position where I can kill off the M4, and that's exactly what I'm looking to do. Unfortunately, the Pack 40 is going to miss, I think, the first 2 shots at least. And that allows the 50 cal of the M4 to get on target. Pins down my Pack 40. It's not having a good time. That's just like unlucky there for the Pack 40. 2 shots, no kill. Ranger Leader and the Bazooka go down as they try and reveal themselves against the Panzer L6. But what I'm going to try and do is just get all my L6s to like charge this M4. If I can pin it down, then my Pack 40 can recover. And next time round, hopefully we'll get the shot off. But +2 for the opponents now. 3 minutes left on the clock. And as you guys can probably tell, it was a loss this time around. So just a really good play there from Zumbiz, making use of just overwhelming artillery really. 60mm mortars, 107mm mortars, M2A1s and the xylophone. That's like 7 pieces of artillery, plus the N3OP203mm here. And yeah, not really much I can do. My elite infantry just can't stand up to stuff it can't fire back at. And that's basically what he did. Use rifles as screening. And that's what you want to do, really. In hindsight, maybe I could have focused more on the like Panzer L6s early, or moved up the left side with the Stugs earlier on and cut off his reinforcements. But yeah, it's all hindsight, of course. And when you're playing in the game, you're trying to just do the best you can at the time. And I guess my main mistake came from having the infantry move up here and all die. There goes the xylophone again. This time going to be pinning down my Panzer L6s, although a couple of them managing to get away from that. Now going to try and kill off the M3OP off map. So 1 minute and 30 seconds left to go. The Geb 40 currently being counter-batteried by the M2A1s. And although the L6s are doing a reasonable job here, we're not going to make back enough ground quickly enough to make a difference. Like these L6s, like perfect, like I said, against airborne engineers, like flamethrower units, anything that the 2nd Infantry has left in terms of infantry now. Yeah, L6s are great against, but I'm too far back and it's going to take me too long to push forwards, and I don't have any infantry left. So I can't secure the position. That's why I'm bringing in like recon squad after recon squad at this point. 50 seconds left on the clock. Mustang still flying around on the right side. Bubble Box not managing to break through in the end. Rick managing to hold off with the M4s. A couple 17-pounders brought in there from Tanko as well, as Tanko was having a reasonably good time against Salt, could afford to reinforce the other side of the map. Gonzo, you know, not as many units as you'd probably like left on the map, but still pushing hard towards the end of the game. So L6 is still moving forwards. We've got my infantry arriving here, Fallschirmjager. And this 30 cal actually manages to blow up the Fallschirmjager vehicle before they drop out, so that kills off the squad. Which was frustrating towards the end here, but that's going to be it. After 37 minutes and 3 seconds, that was a total defeat. It says total victory at the top because I had a neutral perspective at the end there. And that means I can't show you my kills and losses, unfortunately, but you can see that I did go negative with the 2,430 kills to 3,635 losses. That's not very good at all. A lot of that infantry got suicided. I probably should have brought in the Gebs earlier and kept my mortars safer, I guess, because then I could have used them to smoke off the M4 earlier on and kept my off-map alive, and maybe managed to capitalize on the push I did with that Fallschirmjager where he made like 3 units surrender and got the kill with the Panzerfaust onto the M4. Like if my off-map was still alive at that point, I probably could have broken him, but it didn't quite work out that way, and with the off-map going down, my investment into that just didn't work out, and that's what lost me the town. But as soon as the town was lost, I should have ignored it and gone elsewhere, because pushing back into a fortified town, especially one that only leads in with 2 roads, is absolutely futile, especially against the amount of artillery that he was using. So yeah, a lot of mistakes across the board, but a lot to learn from this one for sure. And that's pretty much it from me. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.